Welcome back to Artists Highlighted, and today we are going to be discussing someone that I think is incomparable. We're going to be talking about IU. Recently, I have started to go back on some of my videos and some of the stuff that I've covered, and I'm kind of glad that I've waited till now to do this. I wanted to talk about IU because to me, I don't think that there's anybody that I think has affected my own terms of writing in my own style of music more than her right now. When I think of IU, I think of someone who is, in a lot of ways, the one that writes music that everybody can relate to. Now, I've talked about a lot of artists who are relatable. I think when it comes to music, IU might have that corner completely marketed. And her relatability really comes from personal experience. We all know that in a lot of ways, she's had a very tough road in her life. And it's very much been shown in her music that she's learned from that. And I think that's what's most important. For me personally, I think the thing that's most interesting is her lyric writing. For me, I grew up with a lot of very fantastical music and very dramatic music in a lot of ways. Someone who, I was into metal. Well, I am still into metal. Emo music was really popular in my life. Pop punk was as well. And, there's a lot of classical music in there as well. And a lot of that was very grandiose in a lot of ways. It wasn't until I started going back and re-listening to a lot of music from IU that I realized how much I've realized that my own writing style is not as relatable as I would like. And that is something that I feel like that she has really provided to me. So I wanted to give some examples of some of my favorite writing that I have found in just her music.
혼자 우두커니 앉아 다 지나버린 오늘을 보내지 못하고서 깨어있어 누굴 기다리나 아직 할 일이 남아 있었던가 그것도 아니면 돌아가고 싶은 그리운 자리를 떠올리나 무릎을 베고 누우면 아주 어릴 적 그랬던 것처럼 머리카락을 넘겨줘요 그 좋은 손길에 까무룩 잠이 들어도 잠시만 그대로 두어요.
As someone who I would say my youth is officially behind me, as much as I really hate to say this, it's writing like this that really get to me because I also dream of those days. I dream of those days. I think about those days fairly often. And yet, it's kind of interesting. And I say this fairly often because, I'll get into writing music. And my biggest thing is, I feel like everybody's written something better than I have. And I feel like that a lot of times other people have expressed what I've wanted to say better than I have. And this might be one of those moments because, honestly, the way that she explains, just I think if I remember correctly, she was singing about when she was a kid with her grandma, if I remember correctly. And I think to myself a lot of times, for those of us who grow older, we really struggle. At least I think a lot of people do. I don't want to speak for everybody, but there's a good chunk of us that struggle with getting older and the feeling of it's gone and there's no way to really reclaim it. And I think in a lot of sense, a lot of us are just not prepared for that. And I think that that's one thing that I have really grown to love about IU, is because for me personally, she's written it in such a way that it actually feels like, I think one of the most important things about it all too is that it's not just about the sad parts. It's not about just handling it in a sad or morose way. There are times where she handles the idea of aging and moving on with life in a happy way. And that's one of the things that I think is kind of interesting, because me as a person, and I've said this plenty of times, I look for, naturally, because a lot of the music that I grew up with and the things that I was interested in, the sadder music is what made me, I think, lean towards those kinds of songs. So to see someone who could write a song about being able to move on in a happy and healthy way was something that I actually don't think I've ever seen before. And I think that that's why songs like Lilac, for example, really actually were so important to me, that it kind of just made me really have to rethink how I think about things. I remember hearing something along the lines of like, this is when she had, I wanted to say that she was turning 30 or something like that. And she wrote this song basically to just basically say, hey, I'm moving on and I'm not going to let this stop me. At least that's how it was presented to me. And so to me, I was very impressed with the fact that this is how she wanted to celebrate. Because for me, every single time I have a birthday, I'm like, oh, one step closer to the grave, you know. That's kind of how I feel. And so seeing her being able to actually move on and in a happy, healthy way made me realize, you know what, this is actually probably how it should be. And I think that there's a lot to be said for being able to accept things in your life in a, I would say, in a graceful way. And she's done that. And, you know, again, and then the other thing that I really like is that she knows more or less also when to kind of make you think about how what's most important is what's happening right now. And I feel like that's been one of the best things about her songwriting as well, is just realizing, you know what, you know, you can't change it. Might as well be happy. And I think she's done a really good job with that. So I genuinely think that, you know, there is definitely a healthy way to handle these kinds of topics. And I feel like that, to me, one of the things that's also kind of been super impressive is the fact that I feel like she must think about this a lot. And I honestly kind of think that in a lot of ways she must just be a really deep thinker, because there's a lot of these songs that she writes that I'm like, I feel like you're wise beyond your years. So there's a couple of songs that I think truly highlight that for me. First and foremost is actually just straight up starting with this song, Palette. 그림보다 I think the reason why I wanted to bring this up particularly is because there's always a part of her music that is also a self-discovery kind of feeling behind it as well. And I know I brought this up a lot, especially like Round 17 and IU and BTS, that like that's something that I struggled with a lot, very, very seriously. And again, she made me think about this in a different light. And I think that that's one thing that music should be doing. You know, if it's not supposed to be a happy, fun song, or if that's not what you write, you know, it can make you think. And she does that so well that I just can't really put that really more clearly or more impressively, honestly. Recently, this to me was one that really struck me very hard. And it's for a reason that I was not expecting. I don't even think she wrote this song for this topic, but it hit that way. And sometimes some of the best music, I feel like, to me personally, is the ones that can have multiple purposes and multiple different meanings, even if that's not what is intended. And this song right here, like I said, really, really encapsulates something that actually has been a kind of an interesting thought going through my mind. One thing that I noticed over this holiday season, even on my favorite of holidays, which is Halloween, I realized that this is a weird thing to admit. But the thing that's interesting is it doesn't really have much to do with the channel or like feeling burned out. I feel like, in a sense, I feel like I'm starting to lose the spark. And I'm desperately trying to kind of get that back, because usually, and the reason why I bring it up specifically on a holiday, is usually like there's nothing more exciting when you start seeing at least for me, when you start seeing the Halloween decorations go up, the gravestones, the skeletons, the bats, the witches, and it just, there's something about it that always gave me so much warmth and fun, and I loved the mystery and the possibilities that could come because it's Halloween. And it's gone. And it felt the same way even like on Christmas. I remember waking up and I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, this is really cool. I don't feel the same. And I feel like that in a lot of senses I'm just losing that spark of, you know, excitement in life and being the person who just tries to be adventurous and find those cool things and feel that way. And the reason why I related it to that song is because of the lyrics. I think the interesting thing is that she is, by all accounts and measures, like one of, if not the most popular person in K-pop. And I think it's because she writes this kind of stuff that really is something that is to be is meant to be able to, it's probably, one, based on personal experience, but two, something I feel like everybody feels. And obviously some other groups have written stuff like that, and I've talked about that before, but not to the potency that IU has. I think that that's why, for me personally, like, maybe that's why she is so popular, is I just really truly think that, in a sense, like, she is the people's champion. And I think that, one, she handles it well, and two, through her music, through her art, I think it really gives people the idea to think outside of their perspective and realize of where they're at, and how all this is truly something that deserves its attention, and even if it's something that you wouldn't generally think of. So I think that this has just been one of the biggest and most important surprises and discoveries on the channel, especially for me in my life. And honestly, I think I'm going to be applying a lot of it to my own songwriting, and I never even thought about the stuff that she has brought up before in this way. So anyway, for me personally, again, I think that she just has probably my favorite style of lyric writing in K-pop, in the sense that I think she writes for everybody and herself. And it's something that I think is something that maybe you don't even expect. I didn't until, we got to this point. So, in any case, that's what I wanted to highlight about IU, is just her lyrical writing. And like I said, she's the people's champ. I truly think that. So, I am forever grateful to have gotten to know her music. Anyway, I will leave this here. And if you want me to continue doing this kind of stuff specifically about IU, let me know. But if not, I will leave this here. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making this video. And bye Victus.